to be looking at the discriminant. This is connecting into the quadratic formula, but it's looking at part of the quadratic formula of the square root part, which is the square root of b squared minus 4ac. So this part here helps us to determine if there's one, two, or no x-intercepts. Another way of saying x-intercept is we're referring to roots. So with the quadratic formula, we are referring to that part in the square. So let's look at what that means. So if we're thinking about two x-intercepts, it means that that square root part must be greater than 0, which means it will give us two answers, a positive and a negative. Likewise, if I've got 1, I'm referring to the square root part is equaling to 0. So, and it'll give us one solution. Likewise, if there's no solutions, it is just referring to it is less than 0, so it becomes a negative. And if we've got a square root of a negative, it's just referring to complex numbers. So I've got 3 questions here. I would highly encourage you just to pause, have a go at these 3 questions, and I'll be going over them with you. So the first question we are going to go over is find the value of the discriminant for x squared minus 4x plus 4 equals 0. So the first thing is we need to use that part of the quadratic formula, which is the b squared minus 4ac. This part determines how many solutions we have. So I've got b squared minus 4ac. If I substitute all the values in that I need, so that means I've got 1 for a, b is -4, and c is 4. So if I substitute those values, I'm just going to get the answer of 0. What does that mean? That means if I graph, I'm going to have one solution. If I wanted to find out that solution, I just need to finish off using this quadratic formula, which means it will be -b over 2a, because the square root is just 0. b we set before as -4, so -4 is 4. And a is 1, so it'll be 4 over 2, which means x is just 2. So this part here is 2. When x is 2, y is 0. The next part we need to look at is simply the y-intercept, which is 4 because our c is 4. If we look at the second question, where 3x squared minus 6x plus k is equal to 0, has exactly one real solution. So one real solution means that square root part has to equal 0. So b squared minus 4ac is equal to 0, and we're just substituting in our values. So straight away, we know, let's highlight, we know that we've got a is 3, b is -6, and c is k. I'm just going to simplify this. It gives me -6 squared is 36, and 3 times -4 is -12. Okay. Next part is I want to get my k by itself. So I'm going to get rid of my negative by adding 12k to both sides. And then I'm going to divide by 12 to get k by itself. And that gives me k is equal to 3. The final question I gave was 5x squared plus 3x plus k is equal to 0. And it has 2 real solutions. So the key part here is the 2 real solutions. So that means that with the discriminant, it must be greater than 0 to give 2 answers. So I've got b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0. I then look at what is my a. My a is 5. What is my b? My b is +3, and my c is k. So I just substitute those values into my equation. I then simplify it. 3 squared is 9, and -4 times 5 is -20. I then get k by itself, so I get rid of the -20k, so I plus 20k to both sides, and then I have to divide by 20 to get k by itself, so k will be less than 9 over 20. Again, I'm going to give 3 questions. Have a go yourself. pause the video, and then I am going to go through it with you. So the first part here, it says find the value of the discriminant for negative 3x squared plus 9x minus 4 equals 0. So the first thing is I need to look at a part of the quadratic formula, b squared minus 4ac. I then need to substitute my values into it. So if I substitute b is 9, a is negative 3, and c is negative 4 into this, it's going to give me 33. 33 is greater than 0, which means it has two answers. So 33 is greater than 0. So what that means is I'm going to be having two solutions. If I wanted to work out what the solutions are, I can easily do that. First thing I'm going to do is look at my intercept of negative 4. The second part, I'm just going to finish using the quadratic formula. So that means I've got x is equal to negative b, so negative 9, plus or minus square root 33 over 2 times a and a. Oops, I wrote it down wrong, so I'm just going to restart that. So, sorry, I've got x equals negative b. B is 9. Oops. So negative 9 plus or minus the square root of, oh, I actually had it right, square root of 33 over 2a. A is negative 3, so that'll be negative 6. I can't simplify that, so I'm going to have two answers here. This here is going to be negative 9 plus square root 33 when y is 0, and this one here will be negative 9 take away square root 33 oops, over negative 6. We've got that last part. So I've got my points right here. Let's look at the next one. So the next question here is 2x squared plus 4x plus k is equal to 0. Has exactly one real solution. Find the value of k. So if it's got one real solution, it means that the square root must equal 0. So that gives me part of my answer. I've got b squared minus 4ac is equal to 0. The next part is I need to substitute my values into here. So that means b is going to be 4, a is going to be 2, and c is going to be k. Once I simplify this, 4 squared is 16 and 4 times 2 is 8, 8k. I then look at this next part. I will get k over to the other side, which gives me 16 is equal to 8k. I will then divide by 8 and it gives me 2. So k is equal to 2. The next one is 2x squared plus 7x plus k equals 0 has two real solutions. So we know the two real solutions means the square root must be greater than 0. So the first thing I'm going to do is substitute in my values. I know a is 2, b is 7, and c is k. I'll simplify. 7 squared is 49. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8, so negative 8k. I'll get the negative 8k and take it to the other side. And then I'm dividing everything by 8. So k must be less than 6 and 1/8.